Part 171. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 1712. A few days later, he discovered what was wrong. The little goldfish is sick. Since he woke up, she has become weaker every day. Like a rapidly withering flower, withered, decayed, and finally lying in his arms like a spring, the skin was so white that it was almost transparent, and the body was as light as if it never existed. Huang Ming sat beside him and wiped his tears silently. Wei Yuan stared blankly at her in his arms, feeling panicked and at a loss as his dream was shattered. He suddenly looked like a child, not knowing what to do. His hands trembled uncontrollably, and he said hoarsely, "Don't die, I love you." She opened her eyes slightly, with a slight smile on her face. "I'm not dead, what did you say? I'm a fairy, how could I die?" Huang Ming couldn't bear it any longer, and cried bitterly, "She must save you. You used all the fish blood. Why didn't I stop her?" Huang Ming cried in remorse. Wei Yuan was stunned for a long time. He closed his eyes, hot tears flowed down his cheeks. What happened later? Guyan asked Huang Logui. After Wei Yuan drank the blood of the angel fish and came back to life, did he seek revenge from that Du man? Huang Logui shook his head, "No." Then how did Wei Yi become rich later? Guyan asked again. The prodigal son has turned back, Huang Logui said. Health is good, the food is delicious, no matter what you do, you will be smooth, of course you will get rich. That's how you got rich? Guyan looked disgusted. I'm here to hear how he got rich with great interest, and you tell me the story of his love affair? What are you doing? Guyan was very depressed, picked up the ancient mirror and left, not wanting to listen to Huang Logui's nonsense anymore. Seeing him walking away, Huang Logui smiled and walked away from Gu's residence. The sky is very blue, it seemed to be so blue yesterday, and so was the day before yesterday. Every day looks the same, but there is such a long time and space between now and then. Huang Logui remembered the later story. Later, the little goldfish turned back into a fish, the size of a palm, and the scales on its body were incomplete. When the two men saw it, they burst into tears. Later, Wei Yuan raised the little goldfish with pure gold. He insisted that if the gold could heal man, it should also heal her. But there is only a little bit in the bottle, where can I find the rest of the fine gold? During that time, they were almost desperate. Wei Yuan was not reconciled, he couldn't get the fine gold, so he hoarded a lot of gold, spared no expense to cast it into a fish tank, and put her and the fine gold in it. After a few days, they found that the fine gold seemed to be a little bit more, and the color of the fish tank has faded a little. The pure gold left by the little goldfish seems to be able to absorb the pure gold from the gold itself. This discovery gave them hope. Wei Yuan mortgaged all his assets and bought gold wantonly. But not enough, not enough, not enough. 1,000 caddies of gold yields 1 gram of refined gold. Wei Yuan finally understood that in order to save the little goldfish, he needed a huge amount of assets, and even a person like Huo Chenghong might not be able to afford this amount of money. In order to make money, he left Xinjiang, went overseas, and established his own underground auction house. Because he was born with a keen eye for the auction industry, his business grew bigger and bigger, and the commodities in the auction house became more and more exotic and precious. People call it, under the rose. Compared with him, Huang Ming's side seems to be playing around. But Huang Ming kept earning his gold bars. It's like paying off a debt. Everyone has their own debts. If she had been stopped at the beginning, or some blood had been taken less, maybe the result would not have been like this. Huang Ming felt that this was his debt and he had to pay it back. As long as the pure gold is not enough for one day, they can't stop their pursuit of gold. It is a debt, and it is an attachment. Day after day, year after year, men have more gold than the world can imagine. But not enough. Not enough, not far enough. Before going to sleep, as usual, he glanced at the endless vault and thought, there are still too few. He returned to the same resplendent bedroom, lying on the big bed made of pure gold, leaning on a pillow embroidered with gold thread, and fell asleep with his eyes closed. In the second half of the night, the more he slept, the colder he became, and his whole body seemed to be soaked in water. This feeling made him feel familiar. Her voice was faintly heard in my ear. I didn't admit my mistake this time. His heart trembled, he stretched out his hand tremblingly, and touched. Just like the night when we first met, the mattress and quilt were all wet. In the darkness, he hugged the woman tightly and said in a hoarse voice, "I miss you so much." Finish. It can't be done. In order to write the ending, the author's vitality was so bad that he didn't even have the energy to write the ending testimonial. Tomorrow I'll give you a preview of the upcoming arrangements, but now it's too late, mother, I have to take it easy. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 1713. Chapter 1713. I have always wanted to write the story of the little goldfish. The male protagonist has no responsibility, so he can't pamper and sprinkle sugar. The female protagonist is too passive, and can't beat her face. This kind of setting is not pleasing, and the plot will be very dull. If you put it in the front, you are afraid of losing fans, so put it after the end and let yourself write and write. When I was writing, I often saw people asking, why did I write about the little goldfish? Did it go astray? It's already gone astray, okay. What a fresh and refined rebirth legal drama. Now it is almost becoming a modern version of Liazai. Awkward. Oh. Next is Guyan's short story, about 30,000 to 50,000 words, short and concise. I will open a separate book, and will not continue to write after this book. I have also thought about the name, His Beauty in the Mirror. A one-sentence introduction is, the unscrupulous modern rich second generation molested the decent ancient beauty. The article is expected to be published tomorrow. The release of new books needs review time. You can search again in 2 days, otherwise it may not be displayed. My new book is also in preparation, and this plan will be published in October. Then there is one more thing. Many readers are worried about the inability of Mu and his son to recognize each other, and strongly request me to add a small theater. After careful consideration, I felt that it was very abrupt to go back to write them after writing to this point, so I thought of a way. I will draw the scene of Murong Cheng and Mu Zishuan meeting each other as a small cartoon in Q version, and post it in my Vian Gongzhong, under the name Hua. When writing the last book, I also posted a few small theater cartoons, and the response was pretty good. If new readers don't know how to look at it, you can also join the group, and I will forward it when the drawing is finished. Which chapter of the manga do you want to read? You can leave me a message. There are more than 1,000 chapters and I don't know how to choose. It doesn't matter. Just leave the name of the CP directly. Murong Cheng and Mu Zishuan, and by way, Yu Yang and Zhuangqia, Wang Zilong and Zhang Xinyuan, Gu Liang and Tang Tang, Zhang Xi and Su Che, Wei Yuran and Xiao Jinyu. What a luxurious lineup. I wrote so many CPS before I knew it. It seems that people are able to unleash unlimited potential for money. Ha 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 ha. Gold has a price, true love is priceless. I love you guys. Finally, emphasize again. My new book. October. Come and see. I'm so happy.